We can't ground the entire fleet, so we're not putting that in a report. It's going to be an explosion in the center wing tank. Hello, I'm Ron Diedrichs. Thank you for having me back. My objective is to sell you life assurance so you stay safe and sound. And every time I tell a story, I would like you to come through my course at Arizona State University through aerospace physiology and aerospace medicine. And you're going to learn a lot of these war stories because I'm trying to keep you alive. Anyway, I'm a brand new second lieutenant. Another story you may have never heard. I'm going from Loring, Maine to Torrejon, Spain. And it's before RVSM existed and all of that. But the crew, because I'm a brand new second lieutenant pilot, co-pilot on a KC135, they made me wear the oxygen mask across. And yes, we were probably 350 or higher in the airplane going across. We landed in Torrejon, Spain at about 7 o'clock in the morning, and we got the morning briefing after that on the flight that we were going to fly the next day. Well, the flight, I'll tell you now, was a classified flight. The United States was delivering brand new F-4s to Israel. So you go down to the Rock of Gibraltar, make a turn to the west and rendezvous with F-4s and take them down the Mediterranean. How many aircraft in your flight? Single ship. Yes, we lied. And the guys flying the F-4s might even watch this. They were wearing a coat and a tie with the tie pulled off to the side, single pilot with a headset, not strapped in as if they were in an ejection seat. They were as comfortable as possible delivering it to Israel, I think. I never heard. When we got to Crete, they'd break off and go low level and go on to and we'd come back. Well, I was briefed on the mission, and years later I did fly that mission. But I was briefed on the mission, and I knew that I had acute chronic sinusitis. And I always carried with me Afrin spray, nasal spray, Atrovin spray, or neosynephrine to shrink the membrane so that I could ventilate. And so land, my sinuses are full of 100% oxygen. And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I called ops and said, you're going to have to find another co-pilot. I can't go. I'm going to see the flight doc. Now, the flight doc understood this sinus block, this sinus right here. It felt good if I could have taken a ball peen hammer and collapsed that bone. I was packing ice against it, but you know how if you hold ice against your skin for a long period of time, it gets so painful, you got to take it off? No, that felt good. And so what did the flight doc do? With a syringe, went this way into that sinus and ventilated it, okay? And then he put something in there, vasoconstrictor, I don't know what he put in there. And then obviously I'm grounded, and he gave me medications, and I went back to my room. I made it through the night. I probably didn't sleep much. But the next day at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a knock on the door. Yes, come on in. And my BOQ room. And in walks a general officer and a chaplain. And he said, how are you doing? I'm doing fine. Have you heard anything? No. Well, your crew is no longer with us. Precise quote, your crew is no longer with us. And he went about saying, you're going to be a party to the accident investigation, and you will remain here until the accident board and everything is complete as a party to the investigation. And so I sat there and, he said, we don't want you leaving the base. You're restricted to, and we prefer you not come to the flight line. You can go to the Officers Club, the dining hall, the B6, the commissary, and a couple of other places they listed, but otherwise restrict your travel. I wasn't under house arrest, it's just they didn't want me to. And you will be meeting with a chaplain or a psychiatrist every day until we decide you don't need one. So I got lots of counseling about the processes that go through a person's mind after everybody dies, like that. Anyway, so once a week at least, I would go and catch the group of investigators. There were 5 investigation officers and a Boeing tech rep. And in the evening, I'd see him, and once a week I would stop the head guy and ask him, can you tell me anything that happened? The answer was always, no, haven't got anything we can tell you. Well, it's a month, 2 or 3, it's getting pretty exciting, not. And finally one day, it was Friday night, and all of the 5 and the tech rep were in the bar at the Officers Club drinking. And they were getting pretty soused. And I wasn't drinking because I wanted to be able to watch and find out what was going on. So just a little bit, 1:30 in the morning or so, the bar closed at 2, or did. The officers all left, leaving the Boeing tech rep there. And I went over and offered to buy him another drink. He was drunker than you could ever imagine. And I asked him, can you tell me anything that happened? And he said, yes, I can. They're going to put in the report that there was an electrical short in the center wing tank. An explosion caused the airplane to come apart in the published teardrop approach, descent and approach. Now, they were doing 285 knots in that thing and in that turn when it came apart. But the pumps and the electrical wiring are all in the hangar, and they're in such good shape we could install them in another airplane. For political reasons, that's what's going into the report. We can't ground the entire tanker fleet because what really happened is this is a Q model 135 that had to fly at 9.3 Mach to stay in front of an SR-71, but was flying with dirty tanks, JP-4 and all the tanks this mission. And the metal fatigue in the tail of the airplane at 285 knots, rolling in the turn, and the speed breaks up, it caused the shaking. He said, you tell me how much metal fatigue is in the tail of that airplane. You ride in the back of that airplane in the KC135, and you tell me how much metal fatigue is back there. So we can't ground the entire fleet, so we're not putting that in the report. It's going to be an explosion in the center wing tank. And so now I got to go back home to my assigned base, Travis Air Force Base, and they made me a wing safety officer. My thoughts are the reason they made me the wing safety officer is they wanted to keep an eye on me, have me come to work every day. And senior NCO in safety, he said, don't worry about anything, I'll take care of everything, and I'll keep you briefed so you can brief the wing commander and whatnot's going on. And so, okay. So I was a keepsake, whatever. And shortly thereafter, I got promoted, and here I was a first lieutenant and quickly moving to the left seat, and that's when the number 3 engine exploded on takeoff. On my first flight without an instructor pilot along with me.
Hey gang, here from Hangar Talk. Thank you so much for plugging into the channel, liking, subscribing. We appreciate all you continuous subscribers, and we can't wait to see you on the next one.